And the guy next to me would get his debut in January and continue to work near the top of the card for the rest of the year. Dave, thank you for joining us and agreeing to hop in our little time machine.
My pleasure.
It's back to 2006. Hopefully it doesn't conjure up anything.
I like going back to the future.
There's a DeLorean parked downstairs. We're going to hop in just a minute. We also heard from, I want to say Waltman, right? X-Pac, that there was some disrespect coming from Hoovie's direction. You ever experienced this?
I don't think Hoovie actually respected anybody. I think he was in a world of his own. He had this little bubble going on in his head. In WCW, when he was there, when I was there, working as a producer, agent, he had that, I don't know, some sort of attitude that he just thought he was in his own world, so he just floated around on his own. Weird cat.
How much will a company tolerate with something like that? I'm assuming it's directly proportional to how much money they draw.
Of course. That's it. If you're performing and earning bucks for the company, they'll put up with a bit, but there comes a point when it's goodbye, see ya.
Too edgy for TV? Personal opinion?
Probably at that time, maybe not, but things change, things move along, the company goes in different directions, trying to be, I guess, family friendly. I really don't, personally, I don't think that sort of stuff has a place in this business. It's more, I'm 38 years into the business, so I tend to hold on to things from the past of how the nature of the beast is and, the wrestling, and I don't think, it's a little bit tasteless, that sort of stuff, in my opinion.
– 2006. I did not think there was a push to keep kayfabe alive at this time. Is he that old school at heart?
I believe so, yeah, and I think most people should be. I mean, here's the thing is, you get too much of your own personal information out there, all sorts of things can happen. Identity theft, whatever it may be, these guys are high profile, and that's just opening a door into your private life, and I understand that we're all on television and we sort of belong to the public, so to speak, but you need to protect yourself too, your family and your private life. There needs to be some sort of privacy and some sort of sanctuary where you need to draw back into and can, sit with your feet up and pick your nose whenever you want.
So it probably came from that direction as opposed to trying to protect the Triple H character, more trying to protect his home life.
Yeah, I believe that's fair to say. I mean, there may be a little bit of a mixture of both, but you have to protect your home life.
You used your shoot name for a lot of your career. I'm assuming your shoot name for much of your career. Did you ever encounter problems?
Yes, I did. The reason I used my family name is because my dad was a wrestler, and it just started when I was 14, and I just, that was in '74, so it wasn't all this thievery going on that there is now, but it just snowballed. But I don't give real information out there. My birth dates are all wrong. My age is totally wrong. I'm actually only 23.
I was going to say, you look far younger than that.
So no, but all addresses with the city I live in is all wrong. So or is it right? We're not sure.
Keep it at work. How do you feel about the surrender of a title, just personally we talked about the old school a little bit a couple of minutes ago. Can't you do kind of a quick change somehow that night to make it a title won as opposed to a title surrender?
Absolutely, you could. But why not put a little bit of legitimacy into it? It was a genuine thing. I was there when he got injured. I think it was actually in Turning Stone in New York, I guess, and it was a serious injury, and it brought Batista to his knees. It was painful. You got Mark Henry trying to rip his arm off, but it's like, you know, why would you do a 2-minute deal and just make the injury worse? You know, it's like, but I think sometimes that, you know, you just got to go with whatever's there. You know,
Was Mark dangerous?
No, he wasn't dangerous. You know, things happen. Mark is a very competent in-ring competitor. You know, he's a big, probably one of the strongest guys I've ever seen in my life. You know, he does some scary things, bending metal and, you know, twisting spoons in like a straw. You know, no, he's not dangerous at all. He's a very careful guy. You know, very humble, sometimes opinionated, like we all are. You know, and that's okay. But no, he's not dangerous.
Okay.
Can be if he wants to be.
I bet.
Snap you in half.
You could be accidentally dangerous.
Absolutely.
He farts
well,
in the wrong direction.
we can all do that. I mean, you're sitting close to me. I could be accidentally dangerous.
Let's just hope you're not.
Ask the wrong question.
I've had it before. Why not again?
Yeah, but not for me. I really don't remember any decision being made, or I don't really recall any buzz about it. But I mean, Kurt needed a home. Kurt needed somewhere that he could perform, and I mean, a great athlete, of course. I mean, it goes without saying, but I think Kurt needed people around him that could bring out the best in him. You know, I don't know the political side of it at all. You know, I really try not to get involved in political side of stuff, but you know, Kurt needed a home that he could thrive in and grow and get better, in my opinion. And you know, Kurt takes every opportunity to get better, and I worked with him a lot, trained him a lot, not in the ring, didn't wrestle him, you know, but I put a lot of time into Kurt, and you know, gave him a few hints and taught him a few things. Imagine teaching an Olympic gold medalist how to wrestle.
Well, but to wrestle in professional wrestling, there's a gap you have to bridge, right? From
not all Olympic wrestlers or amateur wrestlers, you know, translate what it's all about. You know, it's like any sport. You just because it's wrestling doesn't mean anybody can pick it up. This is actually a hard thing to learn. You know, I've come through a lot of people who've tried it and went, can't do it, and sometimes you have to tell them, hey, go and flip burgers because this is not for you. So what Kurt's good.
He was a star on the Raw brand and then comes over to SmackDown. Talk to me a second about is there a different identity to these two brands? When we watch it on TV, we see different colors, but for the most part, we're looking at the same product. But the type of guys that are agenting each side or writing each side, the certain talent that are on each side, is it kind of like two different high schools? Is there a personality to one that may be different from the other?
Absolutely, and that is purposely done so that hopefully it comes across like they're two different high schools, as you put it. But absolutely, if you're on Raw, you know, SmackDown and Raw guys, I mean, they all get along, but it's, you know, we bleed blue, they bleed red. You know, it's a definite split. There's a definite, you know, we're better than they are type thing.